Hello everyone, today's a little bit of a different topic. We're going a little bit more into biology, although not really, but a little bit. But we're going into subjects that I want to talk about more. I want to go a little bit more into biology and this channel as well. I study neuroscience, so it's a topic that really interests me and I'd like to share some of my knowledge with you guys. This won't be very biological, but I hope you find it interesting and I don't know, maybe a little bit helpful. It's never too early, too late to start taking care of your brain. So today I wanted to, because I should just say from the start, neuroplasticity and neurodegeneration are topics that interest me the most. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated that our brain can do such things. It's like, and I won't be going into neuroplasticity a whole lot because that's a whole nother topic and it's a little bit complicated, especially if you don't have a vast biological knowledge. But if you'd like to see a video on neuroplasticity, so neuroplasticity is basically everything that goes on in our brain while we are learning. And it doesn't mean learning only things for school, but learning how to cook, learning how to ride a bike, learning someone's name, everything to do with memory, studying, everything like that. That is neuroplasticity. So if you guys would be interested in a video like that, let me know below and I will gladly make a video on that. Today we're going to talk a little bit about neurodegeneration and what we can do to stop it. As always with any a little bit more scientific wise videos, I will be linking bibliography down below so that you can read up on your own. Feel free to look for your own scientific articles. You don't have to read up the ones I give you. Feel free to make up your own opinion. However, I think that this is one of those topics that most people won't want to fight about, so I don't think that should be much of a problem. So let's start off with what is neurodegeneration. Neurodegeneration is something that we all go through. It starts around the 22nd year, so I'm well gone. My brain's already on that path. Have it's been for a while. Yes, and it's nothing to be scared of. As with neuroplasticity, which also is still occurring in our brain, neuroplasticity can occur for a long time. So learning and our brain creating new neurons and everything. At the same time, our brain neurodegenerates, or just degenerates, which means it gets old, to put it in very easy terms. The reason that happens is because our body's getting older and we also have to make space for a lot of things. So like I mentioned in the previous video about tips for learning, you can't remember everything because your brain would explode. Also, when it comes to memories, they are, how is it in English? I didn't study in English, so now I have to translate. Okay, memories are little proteins in your brain basically, so you can't have that much space. Your brain cannot, become bigger than your skull. It just can't. So we forget things and our brain deteriorates because it gets older, because it cannot contain everything. This is a very simplified version of events, don't get me wrong. Yes, so neurodegeneration may be an illness. It may be Alzheimer's disease, it may be Parkinson's disease, it may be just mild dementia. I mean, just dementia is never fun, but neurodegeneration doesn't have to be a disease. So this is something that I'm not sure if many people outside the neuroscientific circles know about, but neurodegeneration doesn't equal illness, doesn't equal disease. So although dementia, Alzheimer's and the rest are neurodegenerative diseases, neurodegeneration doesn't have to be a disease. So the older you get, if you are over 22, or if you're generally just, at a certain point of life, 30, 40, 50, I check statistics, I don't have any statistics on what age you guys are, so I don't know who watches me, but basically you may notice that you start forgetting more things than when you were younger. It's harder for you to remember things than when you were younger. It's harder for you to learn new things and figure out new things and start new things than when you were younger. it's exactly the same as with our body, right? Like, you can do anything at any age, but at some point in your life, it's going to be harder for you to start a new sport. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to, I don't know, do the splits. It doesn't mean you can't learn to do it. It just means it's going to be a little bit harder. And that is basically neurodegeneration for our brain. Our brain is getting older. It's becoming a little bit deteriorated, because, you know, that's just how the human body functions. But we do not have to go the dementia route, any form of dementia, because whether it's just mild dementia, mild cognitive decline, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia with Lewy bodies, those are all technically some form of dementia. Neurodegeneration doesn't have to go that way, as I already mentioned. Neurodegeneration can actually be, you know, go perfectly well, and your brain may get older, you may forget some things, but you may still function perfectly well. A great example of that is my grandma and the vast majority of her friends. My grandma is 82 years old, and she looks 60 and she behaves 40. She doesn't age. Her brain just doesn't age, and with good riddance, because my grandma takes very good care of her brain, which I will talk about in this video. But her friends as well, they're all around 80, and there's no, I mean, yes, they do forget a little bit more than someone my age, which is I'm in my 20s. You know, they do forget a little bit more. They do say the same thing a couple of times. They're a little bit, teeny bit hard of hearing, but for the most part, I talk to them like I would to any normal person, as in you cannot really notice their cognitive decline. There are no signs of dementia, even though they are pretty well old. And I think another great example is the Queen of England, who I don't know a whole lot about her, but all I know is that she's 95, and I don't think there are any symptoms of dementia, and she's still kind of ruling the country or whatever. So, you know, that's perfectly fine. Heard the same about her husband, who died recently, rest in peace, and he was 99. So clearly you can be very old, live for a long time, and not have any signs of dementia, and your cognitive decline may be very, very mild. Now, there's a few ways to do that. The first thing to remember is that the earlier you start taking care of your brain, because yes, you can take care of your brain the same way you take care of your body, the same way you take care of your lungs by not smoking, for instance, of your liver by not drinking too much, the same way you take care of, I don't know, generally your body by eating healthy and doing sports, the same way you're taking care of your brain. And the thing that is easy to say here, as with everything, the earlier you start, the better it's gonna be. Now, of course, you have some sort of neurodegeneration in your family's history, as in your grandma had Alzheimer's, your mom's getting Alzheimer's, your grandma, you know, then I don't want to promise you that this will help, although there is some new information coming out that even if you do have Alzheimer's genetically, which also isn't a sure thing because it's not entirely proven that Alzheimer's is genetical, but even if you do have it, that you can technically not get it if you read the correct lifestyle, but that is new research coming out, so that is not a 100% true information yet. We do not know. However, you know, I don't want to promise you that if you have neurodegenerative diseases in your family that this is going to help you in any way. These are just things that you can do in general to keep your brain healthy, so that the older you get, the decline is a little bit less. Now, a lot of things that I will say you probably are doing, chances are you are actually doing at least some of them, and not even knowing that this is actually very helpful for your brain. Another thing is that those are things that are easy to do in your everyday life, and you don't actually oftentimes have to put aside a separate time for them, because you have to do them or you do them anyway. So the cool things about this is, you know, you don't have to take any pills or, I don't know, do anything specific to help your brain out. No, you can take care of it like you would take care of your body. So the first thing is eating healthy, and that means eating little sugar. Now, I'm not gonna police you. You eat whatever you want. I'm not gonna lie, I eat sugar. I limit myself to 1 portion of sugar a day, so 1 piece of chocolate, 1 chocolate egg, I don't know. However, you know, I'm not a saint. I love chocolate, and I'm not gonna lie, I still do eat sugar. I try to limit it, I try to eat a little quantity of it, little amounts, but I still eat it. But the less sugar you eat, the better in general, because sugar not only is not very good for your body, sugar is also not very good for your brain. There are some new studies coming out now saying that Alzheimer's, for instance, Alzheimer's disease may be caused by sugar. They're starting to call it diabetes type 3. Once again, this is new research coming out, so we don't know for sure yet, but there is such research coming out. So sugar is generally not very good for your brain. Now, I don't know, I think because I'm not entirely sure, I think if you eat a little bit of sugar, it's not going to kill your brain. However, if sugar is a big staple of your diet, as in, I don't know, let's say, and I'm not trying to make fun of anyone or guilt anyone, please don't take it that way, but like if you eat, I don't know, half a cake a day or something like that, then yeah, I'm sure that amount of sugar, or I don't know, drink a Coke every day, something that has a lot of sugar and you actually eat a lot of it, that will probably have some big influence on your brain. However, I hope, I don't want to say anything that's not true here, I hope that eating a small amount of sugar, because I understand it may be very hard to cut it out completely, I think that eating a little amount, I hope, isn't as bad as eating big amounts, you know, like maybe when it comes to your brain, I don't know. So that's the first thing, cutting out sugar, or at least trying to limit it. And another thing that is extremely important, not having a Western diet. Western diet is what in the scientific world is a typical American diet. Please no hate towards Americans here, but a lot of sugar and a lot of concentrated fats. So milkshakes, French fries, burgers together, no, not a good idea. Generally, eating just sugar separately or just fat is way healthier than eating them combined. Generally, try also to not eat too heavy foods, too fat foods. Like, once again, don't get me wrong, I like McDonald's and burgers, but I also try to limit that, because I know how unhealthy that is, not only for my body but also for my brain. Generally, saturated fats, the vast majority of fats are not too healthy for us. So trying to limit that, but especially if you have to eat sugar or if you have to eat fat, make sure not to mix them together, because the Western diet, so a lot of sugar and a lot of fat together, is the most dangerous and the least healthy diet in the world. According to scientific research, but also according to logic if you really think about that. But there are some good things also that you can eat. A lot of vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin B12. There's a lot of foods that contain those things. Vitamin is that a lot of vitamins like that. Beta-carotene, which can be found in carrots and other things as well, has also been proven to be very good against dementia. Now, once again, just eating healthy it's not like 100% you're gonna have a, good cognitive decline or no dementia. But it's one of the things you can do. So before I go forward, the thing that I should say is the best thing that you can do for your brain is to mix these things up. Just doing one of those things isn't gonna help you as much for the long run, but if you do a lot of them, I don't know, let's say 3 or 4, and you mix those things up, that is the best thing that you can do for your brain. So the second thing is activity, physical activity. And now I know not everyone is a fan of sports. I personally pole dance and go roller skating, and those are the only 2 sports I enjoy. I mean, I do enjoy swimming, but I don't like swimming pools because they're nasty in my opinion. And I don't live by the sea. But so those are the only 2 sports that I do. Occasionally I go to the gym in my living room because the gyms are closed. But I understand all you people out there who don't like sport, because I don't really like it that much either. I don't like to kick a ball, I don't like to run around, I just don't. So I get you, but it doesn't, when I say sport, it doesn't have to be anything like that. It can be dancing, it can be jumping on a rope, it can be going for a walk, go for a 40-minute walk, half an hour even, try not to be too slow, go a little bit faster. But what is great in that and in sports in general is that, first of all, you're doing something physical, but also you get a lot of oxygen to your brain. And in case you didn't know, what your brain mostly lives off of, eats, is oxygen and glucose. Now, try not to get glucose only from sugar. Glucose comes from basically, the one that your brain eats comes from basically the majority of foods you eat. It doesn't have to be sugar. So when you're giving oxygen to your brain is happy. Your brain has a lot of good feelings then. So even if you don't like sports, or you can't do sports for certain reasons, I don't know, maybe you're a paraplegic. Can we say paraplegic, or is that not politically correct now? I'm not making fun. I generally don't know. My uncle is a paraplegic and it doesn't bother him, but I don't know. Sorry if I'm not supposed to use that word, let me know, I'm sorry. But chances are you can't do sport. Going for a walk is perfectly fine as well, and will help your brain out a lot. The third thing that you can do is learn. Learning causes neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity means that there's less neurodegeneration going on. Now, it can be learning anything. It can be learning for your schoolwork. It can be learning a new language. I for instance, love languages. I'm finishing off my revision of German and I'm starting to learn Irish, which is going to be my 8th language. And, you know, I just like learning languages, so that's something you can do. But you can also learn how to dance, because you're learning a new thing, you know? You're learning the moves, you're learning how to move your body. That is still learning. You can learn a skill, you can learn to cook, you can, I don't know, learn to do makeup even. As long as you're learning, as long as you're making your brain work, do something harder, something better, something different. Your brain is working, you're working harder, okay? Your brain is always working, but your brain is working harder, and it's happy, okay? Just generally keep your brain working, do something for it, learn something from time to time, and it can be anything, so just something that interests you. So it doesn't have to be, you know, maths. Ugh, hate that. You know, just something that you actually want to learn and that will make you happy. The last thing, and I'm going to mention in this video, which is the most important thing that you can do for your brain. Oh, not the most important, but one of the most important, and the reason why I'm going to explain shortly, that is putting yourself out of your comfort zone. Because as with learning new things, when you learn, you force your brain to work harder because it's doing something it didn't know of before and has to remember it. Because it has to form a memory, which means more neuroplasticity. And putting yourself out of your comfort zone is the same. You're forcing your brain to work harder because you're putting it in a situation that it has never been in before, or has been in very few times. You're forcing it to be in that situation, you're forcing it to make a new memory. Because let's be honest, if you do the same thing every morning, for instance, you're going to remember some of those mornings, but the majority of them are going to be a blur. If you do something that you did only 3 times in your life, chances are that's going to be so different. You're going to retain a memory of that for a certain period of time. I can make a totally separate video on memory as well if you guys would like. So, putting yourself out of your comfort zone. For me, for instance, I'm an introvert, and I'm not going to pretend I actually do this a whole lot because I'm scared of people. But for instance, for introverts, what is actually very good for us to put us out of our comfort zone is to talk to people. We don't know, generally talk to people, because that's something that if you're very introverted like me, you probably don't really do that much, and you're probably a little bit scared of. At least I am. So yes, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, generally just try doing something different every day. Now I know that isn't physically possible for the majority of people. With the amount of work I gotta do, it's not physically possible for me to do something different every day. But try doing something different every day, whether it's learning, whether it's putting yourself out of your comfort zone, just try. And the most important thing, the reason why those previous things were so important, is to constantly keep your brain working. I mean, as I said, it's always working, but to keep it working harder, you know? Just so it constantly has to be doing something. So that's why it's also important to mix those things up, yeah, not to just do one of them because your brain will be used to that. But if you mix all the things up that I mentioned, if you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that should keep your brain nice and sturdy and good. I also think there was a very interesting TED Talk exactly on this topic. If I find it, I will link it down below as well. I don't remember the arguments they gave, as in what you should do to keep your brain healthy, but it was on this exact topic, and maybe the lady said something that I didn't mention, so I'll try and link it down below if I am able to find it. Yes. Now I'm thinking of making a video on myths about how to keep your brain working, because there are a few things floating around that, oh, if you do this, you won't get dementia. If you do that, you won't get dementia. And a lot of those things are kind of lies. So I'm thinking of making a video abolishing that as well. Let me know if you'd be interested in that idea. If this video does well, I'll make it, maybe. We shall see. And that is all for today. Thank you. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas, if there's something you'd like to know about the brain, maybe I am knowledgeable on that topic, let me know down below. Even if I'm not knowledgeable, I'll gladly do the research and share with you with what I have found. Because the brain is fascinating. And that is all from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.